Welcome everyone to a quick demonstration of renewing brake shoes on my 1949 AC 2 litre. In fact, the real reason for this swap is to test some different linings, but I'll explain that later. I thought it might interest some folk to see this being done. The first thing is to make sure the car is supported safely. Not visible here is the large wooden block I have as additional insurance, rather than just relying on the axle stand. Next, to remove the brake drum. This is a special type of brake known as hydrastatic, which does not have adjusters since it is self-adjusting. On a more conventional brake, you can slacken the adjusters if the drum is difficult to prise off. Before removing the shoes, I tie some thick string around the pistons to be sure they don't pop out and leak fluid. Then the fun and games begin. Pulling off the shoes against their rather strong tension springs. Fortunately for me, this special type of brake only has a bias spring down at the bottom. Most systems have two springs. In such cases I like to use a wooden strip as a lever and a large screwdriver to prise one end of a shoe from the fulcrum at the bottom. It is easier to release the first shoe if you nudge it upwards or downwards a little, and it should come out from the fulcrum. Make a note or memorise which holes on the shoes the spring's attached to. In this case it's the lower holes. The upper holes would make the springs too tight and prevent the hydrostatic feature from working. Now the replacement shoes. Attach the spring or springs, making sure that they are behind the shoes. Here I like to use the hub to gain more leverage. Remove the string and refit the drum. If there are adjusters, tighten until there's slight drag and back it off until the drum turns freely. With this hydrostatic brake, the linings always touch the drum slightly. That gives short pedal travel as well as the self-adjustment feature. I mentioned a test of different linings. A detail feature of this type of brake is this little spring. It is only on the leading shoes and is positioned towards their trailing end. There is supposed to be a slit across the lining over the spring, which then raises the lining slightly. The purpose is to stop the leading shoes from picking up when the brakes are released. This old textbook wrongly says it's to prevent pickup when applying the brakes, but that would apply to every type of drum brake except for twin trailing shoe types. As you can see here, my old lining doesn't have the slit, yet the spring appears to work. When I push the AC in and out of the garage, the brakes bind a little going backwards, but not forwards. The linings I've just installed have bonded linings rather than the original riveted ones. In theory, I'd expect the brakes to bind in both directions. What surprised me was that the car is much easier to push backwards out of the garage. So although the wheel has equal resistance in each direction, that resistance is very low. Maybe it's the type of lining. One detail I did not demonstrate is the steady post. Tension springs cause the shoes to move towards the back plate until stopped by the steady posts. These posts won't normally need adjusting, but if they do, then you just slacken the lock nut behind the back plate and screw the post in or out with a large screwdriver. With the drum on, you can feel how much resistance there is. With this hydrostatic brake, I adjust mine for minimum resistance. With conventional brakes, you can use the adjuster until the brakes bind slightly, then alter the steady post to minimise resistance, then back off the adjuster again just enough for it to spin freely. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.